Hi, my name is Becky Palmer. I am an orgasmic leader and advocate for health in relationships. And I'm coming here today to talk to you about some common myths, some common misconceptions that happen in relationship. So there's 5 major myths that I want to talk to you about in this webinar. So first things first, a little bit about me. My name, again, is Becky Palmer. I have experience in the military. I have experience in the healthcare field. My background is pharmacy. I am a healer at heart, and I like to get to the root cause of what's going on. And I've found that in health and in disease and in anxiety, depression, the root cause is often your health in your relationship. So that's what's driven me, that's my passion, that's the thing that I want to come back to over and over again, is to really break down what's happening, what's going wrong in relationship. So I've done a lot of research on myself. I'm a coach, and that means that I have a lot of experience. I have read every book there is to read. I've taken every course there is to take. I have spent thousands and thousands of dollars researching and experimenting and figuring out what works and what doesn't. And the main thing is I want to show that to you. I want to share everything that I've learned with you. So to do that, I really want to get to the bottom of what's going on. So these myths really do get to the core level of what's going on under the surface in a lot of relationships. I would say most relationships. Okay, so there's 5 myths. I'll let you know what they are right off the bat, and then we'll go into them one by one and look at the reality of what's actually going on. So we'll look at the myth and then we'll debunk it and really give you some tools that you can take home today, some things that you can really start to contemplate and bring home with you so that you can start to improve your relationship today. My big thing that I always say is that I want you to have facility with reality. So I am I, you are you, we both come with these relative truths. There's no such thing as an absolute truth when it comes to relating. So what we want to do is we want to come together and actually deal in the facility of what's actually going on in the relationship, what is actually happening. So to do that, we need to know the myths. Myth number 1, the relationship owes me something. Myth number 2, the purpose of relationship is to feel safe and to have full power and control. Myth number 3, only new people, new places, new experiences are exciting. Myth number 4, the only way to please another in relationship is to comply, give in, pretend, and perform. And myth number 5, it's healthy to be competitive, it's healthy to be to push each other, or it gets boring and we stop growing. So these are the 5 myths I want to go over with you today. Okay, so myth number 1, relationships owe us something. What this means, the thing that's really lifting up this myth is that if I give you something, then I should get something in return. So giving and receiving are a means to an end. Now, we need to break this down. So what this means, in my relationship, what this used to mean is that I scratch your back, you scratch mine. That can be sexual, that can be chores, it can be anything. So it's like I pay the bills, I take care of the money, and that means that you love me in return, or you show up and come to parties with me, or you do something for me in return. So this transactional kind of relationship that we're conditioned to have actually doesn't work because it's not based in real unconditional love. It's very much keeping score of who gets what when. And the thing is too that we can often have this value system, this monetary almost value system that doesn't add up. So I can, for example, if I really, really want you to keep the house clean, I want my husband to keep the house clean. And to me, what that means is if he doesn't do it, then it means he doesn't love me. So if he forgets to pick up his socks, if he leaves the kitchen dirty, if he doesn't take out the garbage, then that means something to me. Like, he doesn't actually respect me, love me in the way that I want him to. So I've put a value on that that transaction that he may or may not be aware of, right? So he may think that he's just focused on other things. He isn't focused on cleaning up the house. He doesn't realize that you put that value on it. So when we're trying to trade something and we don't even know the value one way or another, then it leads to a lot of conflict. So the solution to this, the reality here, again, having facility with reality, is that we are giving and receiving in a generative way. So we give for the sake of giving, and we receive for the sake of receiving, because you get both in both dynamics. When I give a gift, I get something out of that giving, right? At Christmas time, it's so fun to give a gift and to have it received really well. So I'm not giving in order to get something back. Sometimes I am, but it's not really the spirit of what Christmas is it? It's about giving with your heart and watching that person light up when they receive that gift. That's what you get in return. Now here, that one's obvious. That one's fairly obvious. The actual reverse is true as well. And this is something that women have issue with, is receiving. So receiving the gift. And it's receiving gifts, it's receiving service, it's receiving compliments, it's positive words of affirmation. Anything that is to be received, if you don't receive it well, it's kind of like an insult to the person who's giving you something. So we need to, especially as women, for whatever reason, in our makeup, in our conditioning, in our socialization, we've been taught that receiving is dangerous because of this transactional myth. So if the belief is that I have to give something in return, then I'm going to block getting anything from my partner, because I don't want to have to give back. I don't want to enter into this kind of toxic mimic of unconditional, non-transactional relating. So this is what I want you to really think about and contemplate, especially if you're a woman, is that your power is in receiving, is in reception. When you receive something really well, when you're gracious about it, you actually pay the person back in your reception. You don't actually have to pay them back with anything else. You don't have to get them a cup of coffee, or you don't have to do whatever it is that you think you need to do. It's actually just receiving. So that's myth number 1. Myth number 2. The purpose of a relationship is to feel safe, and in order to feel safe, you have to have control and power. So this means that my partner has to do what I say so that I can feel safe. Okay, so safety is important. I'm not negating that. Safety is very important, but safety is something that comes from within. So something I say to my clients a lot is, imagine the teddy bear, or the teddy bear in the crib with the little baby. So the little baby uses this teddy bear, holds on to it. It's that source of comfort. It's a source of safety. So is the actual source of safety the teddy bear, or is it actually coming from the baby? So that's something that we have to always come back to remembering. That sense of safety is actually generated within us. It's not coming from outside of us. So we can set up conditions and what I call the container of the relationship as best as you can to feel safe. However, at the end of the day, that safety comes from within. So the more we can start to feel safe within ourselves, the less we have to control another person, the less we have to feel like we have to do things to get power from somebody else and take power from somebody else, or relinquish power to somebody else, and the less controlling and manipulative we end up being. So the real purpose in relationship is to build this container of safety so that we can go out of control well. And what I mean by going out of control is we can open up our experience. We can do something outside of our comfort zone. We can become something that we weren't previously. And that's what creation is. That's what brings this alive feeling into our relationship, is doing something that's slightly outside of our comfort zone. And that's what I mean by going out of control. Think of a really good orgasm. A really good orgasm, you're not like controlled and knowing exactly what's going to happen next. You actually have let go enough that something new happens. Or another example is being tickled. You can't tickle yourself. You can't do these things and go out of control all by yourself. You actually need a container. You need somebody else to have this happen with. So we have to negotiate these terms of what this container means so that we both can play inside of it. So that is myth number 2. Myth number 3 is that only novelty, only new people, new places, new experiences are exciting. So we continuously have to look outside of our relationship, outside of even our home, outside of whatever is within our purview. We have to look outside of it to keep things fresh, to keep things fun, to keep things exciting, bringing new toys into the bedroom, bringing feather boas, bringing new people, bringing all of these new things to keep that dopamine spiking over, up, right? So this is also a myth. And this is a high-level game myth. So it is true that we can keep our dopamine going with novelty. This is why men really like porn, is because it keeps their dopamine high. New, right? But it actually starts to down-regulate our dopamine receptors, and then you need a bigger fix, and then you need a bigger fix, and then you need a bigger fix, and that's the definition of addiction. So what we actually want to do, instead of relying on newness and novelty to keep that dopamine high and to keep that exciting, alive feeling high, we actually need to refine our skills in paying closer and closer attention. Because the actual truth is, there is a never-ending novelty in people. We are so complicated. We have so many layers to us that you literally could study one person and get curious about one person for the rest of your life and be fascinated. But the thing is, we're so conditioned to look outside for something new, something fresh, that we actually shut down this part of ourselves that knows, or that has a sense that there is newness to be found right where we are. So this is kind of the whole point of meditation, right? It's to come into the breath and to fall in love with the breath, which on the outside it seems really boring because the breath is just the same thing over and over again. But the more you get in touch with it, the more you get in touch with your present moment, the more you get in touch in your relationship with that primary person that you're with, the more newness you can actually find. Jordan Peterson has this in his book. He talks about how you always need to assume that there's something new you can learn from every interaction that you come across. And I love that. I think that that's how you maintain relationships, is you always, and that's how you get through conflict. That's how you find newness and connection and intimacy with your kids. That's how you just become a better person, is you are able to find that never-ending novelty in people and in places and in experiences. All of these things that we already believe that we're familiar with, we deepen the intimacy and connection with those things right in front of us. And in that way, this has so many benefits as well. In that way, when you're able to do that, you actually expand your ability to take more in. Because the more you can pay attention to what you already have, the more capacity you actually have to take in new things. So that's really exciting too, because that can become an issue, is that more and more and more and more, and we're adding more and more and more on top, and we're never really feeling the thing we want to feel. So it takes slowing down and actually paying closer and closer attention to the never-ending novelty that's happening all around us. So that's myth number 3. Myth number 4. Okay, so the only way to please others in relationship is to comply. The other word for that is acquiesce, give in, pretend, performance. So that can happen a lot, especially in this porn-based culture, that we are performing in sex instead of actually being present in it and slowing down. And we need to basically make white lies okay, make it okay to not have to tell the truth, keep the truth hidden, so that we can keep the other person happy. So this acquiescing, this complying, this pretending, all of this is an umbrella under the word codependent. So codependent means that in order for me to be happy, you have to be happy. And if you feel anywhere off the happiness scale, I'm going to be unhappy about that. What we really want is to be interdependent instead of codependent. And I know this is almost like, codependent is almost a buzzword. And I find that a lot of people are like, I know I don't want to be codependent. I know I don't, but I don't actually know what it means. So same with, there's some other words like boundaries. I want to have good boundaries, but a lot of people don't actually, they know that they want to have good boundaries, but they don't actually know what that means. So we really need to break that down. What we actually want to do is learn to feel and tune into our sensations in our body. We have this huge part in our brain, our mammalian brain, that is called the limbic system. And that's how we are really in touch with each other. We know we observe in each other these micro communications in body language, in tone, the environment, all these things we're picking up on. And to me, that's really what our intuition is that we're bringing in all this information all of the time. And when we bring in that information, some of it gets to our prefrontal cortex, but most of it doesn't. So what we're doing when we're tapping into our intuition is tapping into this limbic connection, tapping into this body brain that we have in our heart. Our heart has its own brain, our gut has its own brain. So we're tapping into that, which speaks to us in sensation. So we're learning how to feel. And when you learn how to feel another person, and really, really feel, first thing you have to be able to feel yourself. And then you can feel the other person, and then you can start to tell the truth, because feelings and sensations don't lie. So now we're communicating on this limbic level that develops a new kind of confidence in our communication. So if I can feel you, and I can feel that you're happy or sad, and I can feel that I'm happy or sad, and I can feel the difference, then I actually can self-regulate my own happiness, and it doesn't depend on you. So in that sense, I don't have to be codependently, in order for me to be happy, you have to be happy. I can be happy in and of myself. And if you're unhappy, I have the facility to feel that, and I can take the necessary steps to respond and to still stay present with the other and to still stay connected, but I don't have to get fully sucked onto that other person's ride and then become unhappy because they're unhappy. And all of this is based in having facility with your ability to feel you and be in touch with you, and then to be in touch with your sense of self. And then you can actually start to be interdependent with that other person and know where you begin and that other person begins. So this is really, really, really important. In my coaching, really the foundation of everything is being in connection with your own body. So that that means learning the language of sensation. And when we do that, there's fun ways to practice that. When we do that, we actually set the stage to come away from codependence and into interdependence. Hopefully that makes sense. So that is myth number 4. Myth number 5, the final myth. So it's healthy to push each other competitively so that things don't get boring, so that we keep growing, so that we keep exploring our boundaries, our differences. But at the end of the day, this myth really has this underlying feeling that our differences are our enemy and we should be more the same than different, and we should strive to be more alike. Now, this is kind of the sex killer myth. It's like we're trying to make men into hairy women. Men are kind of trying to make women into less hairy men. So what we need to do, instead of getting competitive about our differences, or trying to make them the same, or trying to even the playing ground completely, what we actually need to do is not that competition in and of itself is bad, but when it comes to in a relationship, we actually want to lean on our differences and look at our differences as allies, because those differences create polarity in the relationship, and the polarity is actually how new things are born, right? Like the male, female, masculine, feminine, how that exists within an individual, that creates the polarity that has something new, the contrast, so that something new can be made. They can come together and then make something new. They have enough difference that there's a little bit of friction, which is hot. Like, you don't want to actually be exactly the same as your partner, or it does get boring. So you want them to be continually supporting you in your growth and supporting you in exploring your boundaries. And again, it relates to myth number 2 as well, and about the creating the container and the safety in the relationship. But this me versus you thinking is very, very common in a relationship, and that can have this competitive kind of flavor to it that is leaning more against the me versus you rather than teamwork and compersion. So what you want to see is, and what actually is possible in relationship, is mastery. It's mastery that we remember that we always have something to learn from one another, and that our differences are actually our allies. Our polarity is if I can step a little bit more into my feminine, and he can step a little bit more into his masculine, then we drive that polarity, and we come together and we create hot sex and lots of creative juices flowing between us. All of that is maintained, as opposed to us being competitive and causing disrespect and disconnection in the relationship. So that is myth number 5. So just to summarize the 5 myths, what we want to do is remember, myth number 1, remember that giving and receiving are generative in and of themselves. So we want to come away from the transactional mentality and more towards this generative giving and receiving is giving and receiving in and of itself. That's myth number 1. Number 2 is that we want to create a safe, purposeful container so that we can go out of control well, and we don't have to actually be in this power struggle, control struggle. We both feel safe enough that we can open up, let our hair down and go out of control well. Myth number 3 is that it's possible to pay closer and closer attention and to find novelty and newness in our primary partner, in the person that we spend time with, and we can do this for lifetimes and lifetimes. And we can kind of come away from addiction of that dopamine chasing, and find the novelty in whatever is right in front of us, in the familiar. Myth number 4 is that we can really learn to feel and get grounded into our sensations. So that's the reality. We can tune into our limbic system, learn to tell the truth, learn how to have real facility with how we feel so that we come away from codependence. And the reality of the number 5 myth is that competition can lead to this me versus you thinking, and what we actually want is to develop more teamwork and compersion and master our differences, master and use our differences as allies, and lean on our differences as support instead of trying to make each other comply into being the same. All right, so I really hope that that helped, and I really hope that you came away with something new, something fresh, something different point of view that you can actually take into your relationship today and use. And if that's so, I really would love to hear from you. So what I want to do right now is offer you, I have a new course coming out. And what I want to do is tell you a little bit about it right now. So the thing is that I love to work with really powerful, intelligent women. And the reason that I like to work with powerful and intelligent women is because they're really interesting. They are driven. They've mastered the masculine. They've achieved everything that you can achieve. They have degrees, they have masters, they have PhDs, they have family, they're married. You know, they've ticked all the things in the box of things that you're supposed to achieve in the world. And they're good at that, but there's still something missing. There's still something they're craving, something they're hungry for. And I know this because I've been in this spot myself. I know exactly what it feels like. And I also know the way out. And this is why it's so exciting to be a coach, is because I will jump right down in there with you and help you out of the hole that you're in. So if you feel like your relationship is just, it's good, but it could be better, it's not as fulfilling as you were hoping it would be, as you thought it would be, you're kind of settling into this mediocrity because you don't really think that you can do any better, or you watch all the relationships around you and it seems like it's pretty good. It's pretty good compared to everybody else's. But what your actual soul is hungry for is really deep intimacy and connection, and to have the best relationship on the block, to have that relationship that sings to you, that creates this amazing container for you to create new things and to be inspired. And because you're having such great sex and great connection, everybody at work is like, you're so happy, and then they're giving you promotions, and you're thinking of new ideas, and you're having that baby, and you're being a great mom, and all of it literally, this is why it's my passion, and this is why it's my whole purpose in life, to help with relationships, because it really does translate to everything else in our collective consciousness. Like, if your relationships are good, you're richer, you're healthier, your body feels better, you're a better mom, you're a better partner, obviously, you are a better daughter. You're just like in my life, when my relationships started to get better, I became a better daughter. I have a better relationship with my mom. I have a better relationship with my sister and my cousins and my friends, and everybody around me has benefited from doing this work. So it's super, super, super important. So what I want to invite you to do today is to click on this link and take a look at my course that I'm offering. It's a course about kind of getting off the emotional roller coaster that you might be on. So we really want a juicy, rich relationship. We want to wake up. We want to make a difference in the world. And to do that, we have to really get in better touch with ourselves. So this is that first step. So I invite you to take a look, see if the course is for you. If it calls to you, definitely go ahead and take it. It's a completely online course. It has videos, it has journal prompts, it has exercises, it has readings, and it'll really get you on track to what I was talking before about getting you in tune with your body and your own sensations and your own beliefs, your own self-limiting beliefs. All of that is the foundation of having a good relationship. Your relationship with yourself is so, so important. So I really invite you to take a look. Module 1 is currently available, and there'll be more modules coming out as time goes on in the next few weeks or so. So keep an eye out for that. And we also want to be in touch. So I really encourage you to be in touch with me. If something has woken up in your heart today, get in touch with me privately, and we'll get on a call and we'll have a discussion of what your desires are, what you want to accomplish, what it is that you're looking for in your own relationship, what we can do, what your blocks are, and we'll really nail down exactly what it is that is at the root of what's going on for you so that we can solve it once and for all, and you can have everything that you want. You really can. It's that big of a deal. So I invite you to either take the course or get in touch with me, and I am so looking forward to hearing from you.